Call meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, Councilmember Clark.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, friendly reminder for everybody to turn their microphones on when they speak, please. Roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey,
Here.
Councilmember White,
Here.
Powell, Ryan,
Here.
Kraft,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Goff,
Present.
Lawson,
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
We have a quorum. Personal appearances. A. Clifford Reagan. That microphone should be on. Just, state your name and address and everything, and then you got 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Good evening, members of the Belton City Council and the Mayor. My name is Cliff Reagan III, and I am from 7301 East 109th Street. I am the owner of Gatorland Fireworks, LLC. The reason for me being here today is back on January the 28th, 2022, I was notified by my brother, who is my manager, about our signs in your area. After that time, I had also got I was learned to know that also an inspector from the city also came out to inspect our stand again. I do understand the bounties of, if you don't mind, I'm going to have to take this off because it's hurting my back.
Yeah, you're fine.
I do understand the county and city rules of you all's area. That's the reason why our stand is outside of the county area. Before you are able to get any type of firework permit, you have to go down to Jefferson City, Missouri, and you have to speak to a lady by the name of Robin Jagers, who is over the fire license for our fireworks. She also has a team down there, about 3 or 4 of them. Make a long story short, due to this signage, I was asked to take my signs down in the city all around. At that time, this will happen on a Tuesday. I was given 12 o'clock the next following day to have all my signs picked up. Well, I did that. But as I was doing this, the next following days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the way till July the 4th, I realized there was some more signage that was down in your city limits. When I was brought to this, I went and came and spoke to the gentleman, Jeremiah Todd and Matt Wright. I think I'm saying both of their names. No, not Matt Wright. It's Jeremiah's supervisor. And I spoke to both of them about this situation of what could I do, why am I being told this. They stated that they first had received a complaint. Then it went from a complaint to, after I told them that where all our signs was up last year here in your city also, it went from a complaint to COVID. Because of COVID last year, they didn't remove the signs. In your city, I know that you got to keep it out of the roadways and walkways, and also you have to keep it at least about 4 feet away from the cities, from the highways or byways or however the streets are here. So I guess today I'm asking for a resolution because I do have pictures of the signs that were still lit up all through that week of July 4th and 5th. And I'm just trying to seek a resolution. I was told by the city clerk to maybe talk to Jeremiah's boss, supervisor, about this to try to get some type of resolution. As I stated to his boss, I don't have a problem with paying anything, so we all have the same thing or whatever is needed. But that's why I'm here today, to try to get some type of resolution, or maybe when you guys go back into your closed session, review those codes when it comes to signage, because as I stated, we give away to the sick and shut-ins of the communities. We don't do a lot of advertising of what we do. Our parents taught us to do things. If you're going to do something, do it from your heart. You don't need a lot of exposure of what you do with your businesses. Just give back. And so I'm just here so maybe next year we won't have this problem with our signage. Our signage was very neat, properly put up correctly. I took my time in doing it, but I just want fairness for all of our fireworks stands out here. Because I do know they did take down some other things. Like I told Jeremiah's supervisor, I'm not going to be the policeman of whose signage stays up, but I was kind of embarrassed when they did take down the veteran sign for fireworks this year and still left up the other signage that was around your town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, consent agenda, one motion, non-debatable, to approve the recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd like to remove A and E
A,
is the minutes, and E is about the new classroom.
A and E, okay. Anybody else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A, motion approving the minutes of June 28, 2022 City Council meeting.
Present.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, I have three things about it, and first of all, I apologize. I did take a vacation, so I wasn't here last time. So I was reading through the minutes, and I just had a couple of questions. What was the discussion around Tim Lee's change from utility to stormwater easement? He apparently, in a personal thing, made a request that it not be changed, but I really don't know what the significance of changing an easement from utility to stormwater is. Was there any discussion about that, or did we get a reading? Can you say?
There was a personal appearance about it, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Leah. It's all on the recording about what exactly he was requesting.
Well, I know all I know is he was requesting that it not be changed from utility to stormwater. So all my question is, what's the difference? What if he came in here and said, I want it not to be stormwater, but to be utility? What difference does it make?
I'm not sure, but that I do believe the direct reason for, and Greg can talk to this as well, but the portion of the easement the city is seeking to acquire specifically and only for stormwater drainage purposes, not for other utilities. Specifically in the state of Missouri, stormwater drainage is not a utility. That's the Zeuer case out of the city of St. Louis.
Okay.
So that is why it is titled that, I believe, but Greg can talk more to it.
You're right. I can go back and look at the tape and see what his opinion was of why it shouldn't be changed. I thought maybe there was some discussion about it, but apparently there wasn't.
No, it
So-
was just a personal appearance.
Okay,
We haven't
okay.
discussed it yet.
Okay. Second of all, I saw in the minutes that there was a question by Perry about the lights for downtown and the design of the poles for Christmas lights. And the way I understand it, because we've had some issues when we were doing when BCPI was doing the lights for the downtown Mayor's Christmas tree, we kept having fuses break out, and then we were told, well, that power source is really not designed for anything other than the lights on that particular pole. So the city did upgrade that pole so that we could plug in the lights for the tree, but I think in answer to the question, and maybe it'll take a city employee actually to correct me, but I think only if you plug something in at the bottom, you're not going to be able to run your toaster or anything like that. It's just enough for the lights that go up on that individual pole. That's the way I understand it.
I believe that's true.
Okay.
Correct.
And again, third, and this isn't about any specific issue, but it's about, in general, the way we do things. And again, I apologize, I wasn't here, so I'm taking 99% of the blame. But there were a couple of things I was interested in on discussing that, and then when I saw it on Saturday, just before June 28th, before I was leaving on vacation, I said, well, that's okay, I'll get to see it before the second reading. But then we had we had two readings on at least one item, which I didn't think was an emergency. So I just go back to the way that when I got elected, there was discussion that we really don't do second readings unless it's an emergency. And this is another reason why, because if somebody else is on vacation, they're not going to get a chance at all to make a comment about it. So
I will clarify my policy on the agenda on second readings. I don't want any second reading on the agenda unless it's an emergency. What happened in this case is someone asked for a second reading from the floor, and it passed. So
Okay.
that's why there was a second reading.
Okay.
It wasn't,
Which
it wasn't
one?
on the agenda for a second
Oh,
reading.
okay, okay,
It was done from the floor.
okay.
I guess which one is the second reading that you wanted to discuss? I mean,
Well, in actual fact, it was about the 353, and I talked to Carolyn today, and she swabbed over every question I had. I mean, she answered everything I was interested in, so I wasn't going to vote against it. I was just curious about a couple of things, and she answered all my questions. So I guess no, what they say, no foul, no damage or whatever. But it just seemed to me, and I didn't realize there was, in your mind, an exception that if somebody asked from the floor, that it's automatically done. I mean,
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
way the ordinances or the charter's set up, that
okay,
any one of you or myself can ask for a second reading.
okay,
If they get a second and they get 6 votes,
okay.
we can do a second reading.
All right, thank you. Those are,
From the floor.
yeah,
So,
okay. Those are my questions about A, and then I also ask about E. I don't know if
any other discussion on item A? Go ahead.
my only discussion with this, and it's probably a Paget question, you probably shouldn't have taken item A out, and you should have brought this up in councilman questions, because you're not changing anything. To me,
Okay.
bringing this out today is probably if there's changes that need to be made in the minutes. I think your stuff should have been done in the council.
Well, the
At
fourth
the end.
reason I took it out was because I'm going to plan to abstain because I can't really agree that, so I was going to take it out anyway, so.
Okay. So,
I don't know how that works when you're missed. I don't,
Maybe it's not a
any other
huge issue.
discussion on item A? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain?
Abstain?
Motion carries. Item E, motion approving resolution R 2022-81.
A resolution approving a second amendment to the office lease dated January 25th, 2022 between the City of Belton, Missouri and NP Southview Industrial 4 LLC, approving a sublease between the City of Belton, Missouri and West Central Missouri Community Action Agency, and approving a sublease consent agreement related thereto.
present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you say something? Oh, we have a motion.
He said something.
Oh, she said something. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Oh, well, again, it's just a question, but on the page 40 of the agenda, which is in the minutes, in the contract between us and WMCMAA, it says all this liability, comprehensive liability insurance that Belton as a tenant has to take out, and then it leaves it to WMCMAA to take out whatever liability insurance they think is necessary. Does that mean we're liable for anything that goes on in that room? I mean, what if somebody, God forbid, doesn't like their grade and pulls out a gun and shoots somebody, or they slip on the ice going out? Is that going to be all on us?
Which one of you two want to tackle this?
I would like to introduce Sid Douglas. He's he is the one who wrote this, so I think he's the best one to answer your question.
Thank you.
Get all the blame for writing stuff like that. So, yeah, Sid Douglas, Gilmore and Bell, Bond and Economic Development Council for the city. The provision there for insurance is to protect the city for anything that might happen. If there are other liability issues that come up that would not be covered by the city's policy that West Central wants to take care of related to any of their property that may be there or anything else that there's going on because they're the one that's actually having physical possession of the property, then they get their own insurance.
Okay.
So that's,
So basically, we're, if they don't get any other insurance, we will pretty much be on the hook for anything that happens in that room.
you won't be on the hook, it's just that you have insurance to
Insurance.
protect you.
Okay,
It's gonna be dependent upon the circumstances, the facts and circumstances of what creates the liability to begin with. And what might have happened. If it was a casualty or, fire or something, things would be covered. Doesn't mean that the city's on the hook if you didn't do anything wrong, if somebody slips and falls. And it wasn't anything that the city did, but you do have insurance to cover it.
okay.
That make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ordinances. A, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-43.
It's actually the final reading.
Oh, yeah, my glasses are bad today. Final reading of Bill 2022-43.
An ordinance amending Section 16-2 of the Unified Development Code related to professional fireworks displays.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lawson,
Aye.
Councilmember Goff,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
and Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion carries. B, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-46.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-4727 by revising the effective date of the ordinance and the employment agreement attached and incorporated into said ordinance.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Who was
Any
the second?
discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move for a second reading.
What would you say?
Move for a second reading.
We have a motion for a second reading
Second.
and a second for a second reading. Any discussion on the motion for a second reading? Hearing none. All in favor? Go ahead.
I go back to Councilmember Powell. I think this is something that has to be done pretty timely
I
since
agree.
he starts in about a week or 10 days, so.
I agree 100%. Thanks.
Yeah.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-4727.
Hold on. We never voted.
Yeah, we didn't vote. Sorry.
Oh, I thought we had
No,
everyone, okay.
We're discussing on the second reading. So any more discussion on the motion for a second reading? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Ready for the second?
A motion approving the second reading of Bill 2022-46. Now you're up. Sorry.
That's all right. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-4727 by revising the effective date of the ordinance and the employment agreement attached and incorporated into said ordinance.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Pryan,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
and Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
and
Motion carries.
Richardson.
Aye.
One more.
Motion carries. C, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-47.
Present. Oh, she got to read it.
Read it first.
An ordinance re-adopting ordinance number 91-2073 as amended, establishing a procedure to disclose potential conflict of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officials.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, this is the ordinance that the city council adopts annually pursuant to Missouri law. It is, as you can tell, pretty much the same ordinance that the city has adopted since '91. There have been some minor changes to it that track with Missouri law.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. D, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-48.
An ordinance amending Section 2-885 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Belton, Missouri, by adding additional city officials who may affix their signatures to all checks, warrants, drafts, and treasury bill release of the city.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You want to jump on this real quick?
Yeah, this ordinance was drafted given the current staffing issues going on at the city. Currently, the city code requires that the city clerk, the finance director, and the mayor, or in the mayor's absence, the mayor pro tem, affix their signatures to all checks, bill warrants, drafts, and treasury bills issued by the city. In drafting this and given the current circumstances, an additional provision was added regarding if there is an absence of the city clerk or the finance director, the city manager, or the acting city manager can affix their signature to those necessary documents to ensure that all payments are made on time.
Any other discussion?
So we didn't go to reducing it to 2 signatures?
No, we kept it at the 3 and just added one more signature. You know what I meant,
In effect, I think we'll end up adding 2 because under the charter and the code, the city manager or the assistant city manager is automatically the acting city manager. So if a new assistant city manager is hired, they'll also go in and sign the signature card.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Move for second reading.
We have a motion for a second reading. And a motion and a second for a second reading. Any discussion on the motion for a second reading? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approving the second reading of Bill 2022-48.
Ordinance amending Section 2-885 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Belton, Missouri, by adding additional city officials who may affix their signatures to all checks, warrants, drafts, and treasury bill release of the city.
Present.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Aye.
Pryan,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Powell,
Yes.
Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. No resolutions, city council liaison reports. Go ahead.
Just a couple reminders for parks. The farmers market is Thursday from 4 to 7 at the Assembly of God Church. Our next car show is coming up on July 23rd. And there are tagged channel cat in Cleveland Lake. If you catch one, take the tag off and you'll win a prize.
What's the prize?
I believe one is a membership to High Blue. There's a couple other really good ones. I think you need a license to fish out there, by the way. Don't goof that up.
I think I read on their page there's a kayak.
That sounds right. Good job.
That sounds like exercise.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else? All right. Managers or mayor's communication. In front of you, I placed documents that come out of the last night's meeting for the use tax committee. The first one is this thing here that what they decided to if passed, that the money would be spent on. I don't know that we need to go over this tonight unless you guys want to go over this tonight. I don't think it has to be approved by this board. It's just more of an information back from the Use Tax Oversight Committee. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me later. The second one, the one with the picture, is going to go in the water bill, the first round, and then we're going to come up with a different one for the second, third, and fourth rounds of the water bill in July. So.
Did you get that? He forgot
So,
you.
if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll go from there. I believe, I thought I had something else, but I can't remember. I do believe that's all I have right now.
The 2 meetings.
What?
Meetings? The public hearings? When are you gonna do the public hearings?
Oh,
for the
yes,
open houses?
that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we're doing 2 town hall meetings, one on July 25th at 7 o'clock, 7 PM at Memorial Station. And the other one is July 30th at 3 PM at Memorial Station. So feel free to attend and support this endeavor. So that's all I had. I knew I had it, but I didn't write it
Can you
down.
repeat those again?
Monday, July 25 at 7 PM, and Saturday, July 30th at 3 PM, both at Memorial Station. That's all I had, so, City Manager.
I had 2 things for you tonight. One, I think everybody's seen it, but I just thought I'd bring it to everybody's attention that MoDOT's commission did approve I-49 for a little over $71 million to add a 6th lane from 155th Street down to North Cass Parkway. For me, it's been about a 4.5-year journey trying to get this done, and it's a really good feeling, but the battle continues because now we need to do work to get the bridge on their program. They're going to do scoping work on it, and hopefully we can turn that scoping right into a project that we can get the bridge done too. But it is a great feeling to have that project on the books and ready to go.
Thank you for your time and energy into that
You are more than welcome.
project.
I can't wait to drive on it. The other thing I'd let everybody know is the commuter parking lot, which you know has kind of been a problem here in Belton over the last couple of years. It's been a place where there's no commuters, but there's people who have chosen to live there. There's actually 2 trucking outfits right now who are running a trucking firm out of the lot. We are actually going to close the lot, and we're going to get fill material from North Point. They had to get rid of it, and they had to get rid of it somewhere, so I volunteered the site to put it into that hole and start raising it up. I've advised MoDOT, because we're in a process of changing ownership. We haven't changed the ownership yet, but you notice I have the pipes out there to pipe the drainage, and then we'll be getting fill hopefully starting the end of the week, first of next week, to start filling that up, raising it up, and making it a really nice developable site. So, but I thought I'd let everybody know that that will be happening.
Go ahead.
On your first item, do you think they'll put a second ramp, not a ramp, but another road there so 2 cars or 3 cars can get off and exit to the right and left when they redo that highway for 58, getting off 58 highway?
Right now, I don't think they're making any changes to the ramps. I think
Okay.
the ramps, they're going to wait until they do the bridge.
So that'd be part of the bridge and not part of the road?
Correct.
Okay. And the second thing, is that fill dirt coming from the 4th building, or is that coming from the new development?
It's coming from the 4th building
Okay,
when they did that work.
okay, thank you.
Greg, would that be that pile of concrete and stuff that they've been shoving off?
It's the one that's closest to where the homes are along at 157th Street.
That's good, because Ben asked about that.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's it.
Communications from City Council.
I have one,
Go ahead.
Mayor. It's going to be a broken record probably, but I got a call again, Greg, concerning the tractor trailers coming down VC. And
This was Allen.
Yep. Huh?
That was Allen Street, that guy called us on.
I thought he lived on VC.
He was on Allen.
Turning down off 155th, coming down, I thought VC, but Allen maybe. Anyway, it's still there. If we can work on the signage to tell those drivers that take a hard right to get to the industrial park would be great. As well as he was asking about street lights. And I know that was down VC he was asking about, coming down from 155th. He said it's really, really dark down there, about 3 or 4 blocks down. There's no street lights. I don't know what what our plan is for street lights, but if there is one, he said something about every 500 foot. I said, I don't know. I have no idea.
So on the first issue, so everybody knows, on Allen, as far as the trucks going down, I've been in contact with MoDOT.
to try to get them to put additional signs on the verge about, on the roundabout there. Because you can see where trucks are sometimes circling 2 and 3 times to figure out which is the leg I need to go on.
Yeah.
And if you've been on it, you know that after you circled that once or twice, you're not quite sure which direction you're headed. And so I'm trying to get allow us to put additional signs on there to show which way is which, so people aren't so confused. And I hope that will solve the problem.
Clearly, they're missing, when they come around, they shoot straight east and, you know,
Right.
because it's right there to the right. They got to make just a quick turn, and they're not catching that.
They're not catching it. And for streetlights in town, we are trying to look at, there's a lot of gaps that have been brought up to me over the last couple of years. And so we're trying to look at which gaps we're trying to fill. The first thing I've been trying to do is get these new subdivisions and get Evergy to get those installed. And then once those are installed, go to the gaps that are throughout town. Because there's some in downtown areas, some just west of downtown. There's some off of Bel Ray that people want those gaps filled. And I know in the areas that were annexed did not have sufficient streetlights when they're annexed. So that's something we need to work on over time.
If you just keep that address in mind when you're looking at that, I appreciate it.
Anybody else?
That
was easy.
I mean, I'd like to talk about snipe signs if we want to do it today, or you want to bring that up for another meeting, but snipe signs, in case you don't know, are those signs that just put up on the right-of-way or out there without, in somebody's yard. What the gentleman was talking about was taken down, which unfortunately I've been complaining about snipe signs for 3 years. And I just think they make our community look ugly, people just putting up signs anywhere. To me, we have a ordinance in place that says if it's a real estate or some type of sign like that, it's legal, but it should not be in the right of way either. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, that it needs to be it has to be on personal property, not in the right of way.
Anybody else?
Well, I would agree 100%. You can't put it in the right of way. And when neighbors put stuff in the MoDOT right of way by my house, I don't go and pick it out, pull it out, because it doesn't seem neighborly. But if they don't come back and get it after the date of their garage sale, then I throw it away. But you're right. It's a not only a something that looks bad, but it also is a safety hazard, because sometimes they get blown into the street. Sometimes you can't see around them, etc. So.
Mayor, we covered this heavily when I was on planning and zoning years ago, and no matter what rules you make, people are going to put those bandit signs, we call them then, up in those areas, because they don't care if you take them, you take them. It's the windows, it's cleaning windows, it's not only garage sales, but it's a lot of professional companies do that too and slam them up. And they put them right on the corners of things and right out on the road, and yeah, they are bad. But I did catch someone today actually taking a political sign out of my yard. And I couldn't get to him quick enough because I hit a red light and I had to stop. So.
Anybody else?
I did have a gentleman call me and wanted to thank the city staff for clearing out the brush over Oil Creek. I think he has some issues of sight lines over there, so he was appreciative that when you come down Mullen Road, you can look right and left now and have good view. So I told him I would thank staff for him up here, so he wanted to say thank you.
Perfect. All right. Items for review and discussion. Item A, IT server refresh project.
Good evening. So this is for the IT server refresh project. The existing servers infrastructure is due for upgrade. Fiscal year 23 budget's been approved for this project. The RFP process is underway, and as soon as we'll have a resolution coming as soon as the bids are reviewed and we determine which is best.
Any questions? Thank you. Remember, you gotta yell if you want something, Angela.
Oh, yeah. I haven't needed anything yet.
Okay. Item B, insurance coverage options for the 150th birthday celebration.
At the direction of the city council, the city clerk reached out to the city's insurance provider regarding potential coverage for special events such as the 150th birthday celebration. MPR, the city's insurance provider, directed Andrea, the city clerk, to a additional outside provider to request a quote. Andrea did that, had a significant number of emails and exchanges and some discussions regarding what would be occurring at the event and what that insurance coverage would look like. We have not received a formal pricing on that as of today because it looks like every single person that we were working with is now on vacation. But based on the earlier discussions, the general price range for that coverage would be $3,000 to $4,000 plus $50 a day per band and the band that would be performing. And then that provider would not cover the they call it the hamster ball, where you get in the balls and they run at each other, or the axe throwing. So it would be strictly limited to the other vendors and the bands, and it would be roughly between $3,000 to $4,000 plus $50 a day per band.
Let's assume those two have insurance all the time on.
I would hope that they would
so.
have. I would hope they would have an insurance specialist on call that
Right.
could help them.
The axe throwing absolutely does. I have verified that. I was not aware about a hamster ball situation until just now.
Not aware that they were doing it or that they didn't have insurance.
I didn't know it existed.
You might call it something different.
Yeah, that's that ball thing. You get inside of a ball and you run and knock people over. It's on the agenda like 4 or 5 times, unless they removed it in the last couple of weeks.
I might have just missed it somehow.
All right.
Does this then come out of the 40,000 extra?
I don't have an answer for you at this time on that,
Okay.
but I will find out.
This wasn't a part of the $30,000 budget that we had planned.
No, not the 30.
Because we were under the understanding the whole time that it was going under the city's insurance. We were not aware that there was anything that was going to need to come from our 30,000 part.
No, I was asking about the extra 40,000.
The 40,000 you're gonna raise.
So that was not included into our budget. We were not aware that the city didn't already have insurance in place to provide that. So this wouldn't be out of even that whole 70,000.
We'll work on that and bring it back next meeting.
And just to clarify, for Councilmember Powell, the budget that the city is providing was capped at 30,000. We increased the line item up to 70 in case they raise it. So I don't know how they're planning to budget for the insurance. Feels like this might be a continuing conversation, but just in case anybody's watching this, we didn't increase the budget by 40,000.
No, I know, but, well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, when they raise funds, they're gonna put it in through the account here and.
Right. Right.
And we'll work on that and get an answer for the council.
Honestly, I think if we can get it for that $3,000 without the hamsters and the axes, I think that's a pretty good deal, and I'd probably support that because it is our party. I think the mayor started this, so,
Yes. I did, so.
so yeah, I would if we can get it for that and keep it outside of the cities, I would be all in favor of that.
So, anybody else? C, Chapter 353, OTB application.
Sorry, I wasn't quick enough getting the unmute.
No, you're fine, go.
I wanted to concur. I do agree with Dave. I would really like for us to go for this option of the city having it except for the 2 exceptions. That would be our preference as well.
Okay. Item C, Chapter 353, OTB application, 621 Main Street.
Mayor and City Council, just wanted to let you know that the Old Town Belton Redevelopment Corporation Board did meet on July 6th and recommended unanimous approval of the application of 621 Main Street, which is at the corner of Main and Hackberry. And that applicant is going to be investing $21,000 into windows, doors, trim repair, gutters, paint, and landscaping. And that will be coming before you at the next meeting.
Any questions? Item D, GMAT Administrative Agreement.
This is going to come before you guys next week. GEMT stands for Ground Emergency Medical Transport. It's a reimbursement program that I think this is around our 4th year or so participating in it. It's a grant program back through the Department of Health for recouping money from Medicaid patients as we transport them. So we track all costs. It gets divided up, and the cost of our EMS services is eligible. So this is just starting that process again for this coming fiscal year for the state.
Any questions? Item E, Image Trend Contract Renewal.
Image Trend is it's our software we've been using for resource management and reporting and things like that. And so it's a multi-year contract, but it just requires me to pay for it every year, which exceeds the amount that I can approve. So it's continued. It's an ongoing contract that we're just renewing for the year.
Any questions? Item F, Fire Station Painting.
We hope to have a presentation or a bid to present to you next meeting. We're currently in the RFP process. I know at least one's probably going to turn it in because they wanted to come to a site visit tomorrow. So that closes on July 22nd. That'll give us time to pour through them and bring it before you on the next meeting for approval, hopefully.
Which, you building one or two?
We're going to do them both. It's just doing the apparatus bays and all of the exterior paint for both stations.
Any questions? Item G, Striker Load System Purchase.
This is another item that I hope to have on the next agenda. We had an ambulance approved in this year's budget. Everything in our budget's becoming very difficult and timely. We don't even know when we can get an ambulance. He can't even tell us when we can get a chassis, but we want to try to stay ahead of price increases. And so we're going to go ahead and get this load system that's going to be placed in the ambulance when it's built, but it goes up sometime between August and October. So we just want to get it approved in here before the prices go up.
Any questions? Speed sensor and message board trailer purchase.
The police department has bids that it's collected for a speed sensor and message board trailer. You might have seen these. We have one that we've put over off of Bradford Place. It's part of a more of a cohesive traffic enforcement program for the city. These are the types of trailers we'd put out when we first receive a complaint to try and manage whether or not there's a need for selective enforcement, or maybe it's just reminding the public. These message boards can also be put out if we're seeking for information related to a crime like a homicide. With the message board function, we've also used them in other communities for notifying the public of upcoming events. Maybe it is a parade that's going to change route, so people know like a week ahead of time. They see there's going to be a parade on Saturday between these hours and this road's going to be shut. And our plan, and like we've done with the other message board, is work with Public Works if they need it, or other. We've even lent the Parks Department the use of our the one we currently have. The current one isn't as large. These two are larger, and there's a traffic counter function I think that we're going to be able to find, and I believe it's going to be under budget.
Any questions? Is that something we could temporarily put it out there so they don't go down Allen, they stay on the outer road and put a message out? Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, those are the types of things that we'd use those for. And with these two that we're wanting to purchase, they're going to be larger. We could actually designate the one we currently have to Public Works if they want to use it for that.
Till the state catches this.
Yeah, it's something we can look at.
All right. Just a thought. I just threw that out there. Any other questions? Item I, SRT utility van purchase.
This is the second time that we're talking about this. It's a bid that's currently out. I don't know if you remember back in FY 2021, we had this on the budget, and we got approval from the city council to purchase a transit vehicle to be used for the police department. That vehicle was going to replace a 1984 Chevrolet field ambulance that was obtained from the Department of Defense. The vehicle we have is commonly referred to as a MASH ambulance. It's actually camouflage. It's got a long history of problems. It's outlived its useful life. It's even caught fire and had to be significantly repaired at one point. And so we've had problems in purchase because of the shortage of the microchips for vehicles. And so we're now moving into the realm of looking for a new type used vehicle to serve our purpose that's already out there. And so we hope to bringing that to the city council soon.
Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Chief, what happens to the old one? Do you sell it, or do you?
With both vehicles that we had obtained in the past from the Department of Defense, they have to go back through the program. They cannot be sold or transferred to any other entity, and so we have to go back through the program and have them designate what they're going to do with it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. UDC code amendments.
Yep, we are planning on bringing forward a number of UDC code amendments late summer, early fall for multiple code sections. I'll quickly just summarize those. The first section is to fences. Currently, more than half of all the fence permits that we are reviewing end up getting denied on their first review for failure to meet the fence code. Generally regarding the permitted fencing locations in side yards and on corner lots. And so we did take a look at how we compare to other cities, and Belton is quite a bit more restrictive on where fences can be in side yards and on corner lots. Most cities allow privacy fences and chain link fences to come up to the front corner of the house, whereas our code requires it to be at least halfway back on the side yard of the house. And the other requirement is that privacy fences and chain link fences cannot be anywhere in a corner side yard, which typically pushes those fences in line with the back corner of the house, so that entire street side yard has to remain clear. Most cities allow some encroachment into that, usually at 50% or greater. So those setbacks in some other communities are usually 5 or 6 feet from the right of way, up to 8 feet, and then some other cities are at 15 feet, whereas we're at 25 or 30 foot, depending on what the setback is. So that's something that I don't know if there's any interest in changing that or not, but that is certainly an area where, given that there's a lot of fence contractors who work in Belton and then work in other area communities, I think that's where there's a lot of confusion and why we get a lot of denials on fence permits. Additionally, there is currently a prohibition on wood privacy fences in commercial and industrial zoning districts. That is unique to Belton. There are no other cities in the metro that have that prohibition. I'm not sure of the history of why that prohibition was put in place. However, the North Scott overlay, when that was adopted, does allow wood privacy fences. And so that is something that we also would like to take a look at, removing that restriction. For signage, there are some items that need to be addressed to better meet current sign trends. Probably one of the larger issues is menu boards are capped at 16 square feet, which is half of what most other communities have. And most of the fast food drive-through restaurants have signage that is larger than that, which have been approved through final development plans, but those that don't go through that process run into some issues. So we are proposing to increase that to be in keeping with most other communities for standard menu board signage. Also adding a section regarding the maintenance, abandonment, and removal of signs. Currently, the code isn't clear enough on when that signage does need to be removed and doesn't distinguish between abandoned and legal nonconforming signs. This would help us when there are vacant signs that are non-conforming, such as pole signs, of when those would need to be removed. Also, we're looking at the number and size of monument signs permitted in commercial and industrial zoning districts. Again, we are more limited than most other cities in the metro, and we get a lot of requests for larger signs. And then lastly, just looking at a process. Currently, different signs are approved through a final development plan, and then others have been approved through variance. So we're recommending to just add everything to a final development plan if there's any request to modify anything from the sign code. For driveways, the current language does create some confusion and is open to interpretation regarding the size of driveways and the coverage in the front yard. So we are proposing to add some clarification language to that. This also would be beneficial to builders and developers looking to build 3-car garages. Currently, the way that our code is written, it really only accommodates 2-car garages. It's really difficult to accommodate a 3 or more car garage. And so that is something that we are looking at trying to better accommodate that with these code changes. And then lastly on this one is related to the development plan process. Currently, the code lumps preliminary and final development plans into one and does not distinguish when one or both is required. It's also in conflict with our development guidebook that has been in place since 2016, which is what we have used and provided to the development community. So we just want to clarify those processes and determine exactly when a preliminary development plan is required and a final development plan is required, and also incorporate into that process what types of minor modifications from the code can be approved without going through a PUD or a variance process.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Recently, I've seen mobile.
Microphone.
Recently, I've seen mobile electronic signs on back of trucks, large. Is that addressed in our codes?
So we do not allow vehicle signs, but that is typically intended to accommodate stationary vehicles. Once we have mobile vehicles, that's a little bit more difficult to enforce. That is something that we would have to look into further.
Yeah, because I saw
how that can be addressed in the code.
I've seen the same truck, and I've only seen them sitting with the electronic signs going. I've not seen them driving with the signs going, but I haven't seen them driving. I just pull up and there they are. And so this electronic in the back of this massive truck.
I saw it driving, so.
With the signs going?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know if we're relooking at these codes and signs, we may want to look
Yeah,
at that stuff.
that is something that we can look at.
Anybody else? Item K, 2018 Building and Fire Code Update.
And this is also another code amendment that we will be bringing forward later in the summer, early fall, which would be the adoption of 2018 building codes, which would include the building code, residential code, mechanical plumbing, sewage disposal, fuel gas, energy conservation, as well as the fire code, and then a property maintenance code. And all of those would have local amendments specific to Belton for that code, for those codes. The city would also adopt the 2017 National Electric Code. The only code that the city is proposing to adopt that hasn't been adopted in the past is the existing buildings code, which better addresses the rehabilitation of existing buildings for new tenants. So that would be particularly beneficial for buildings in the downtown area. Essentially, the existing building code doesn't allow everything to be brought into compliance with the the current building code, but it does allow certain life safety features to be upgraded to accommodate the new use and some other features. But that is particularly beneficial for retrofitting existing buildings. As part of that, the code does require we take all the building codes through the Building and Fire Prevention Codes Board of Adjustment and the Planning Commission for recommendations prior to bringing forward to the City Council, which does include a public hearing at the Planning Commission. Once it is brought before the council may approve the ordinance, but it cannot go into effect for at least 90 days per state statute. We have to give the development community 90 days to read up on the code amendments so they're prepared when they submit plans after 90 days to meet that code. However, during that transition, we would likely still accept building permits under the 2018 code. We would essentially be accepting permits under either code during that transition period, and we'll provide some more communication on that prior to bringing it before council. Lastly, since the new property maintenance code is being adopted, there may be some modifications to the nuisances code in Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances related to the property maintenance code. As there have been several concerns regarding the maintenance of properties in drainage ways, staff is looking into how other cities address the maintenance of drainage ways to see what exceptions are made from the nuisance code related to that.
Any questions? I don't know that you mentioned it, but we're currently under the 2012 Building and Fire Code now, so I don't think you mentioned that. But
Yep, correct. We are under 2012, and the next code update would be 2024. So we do envision that this would probably only be in effect for a couple of years before we proceed with 2024 code updates.
Anybody else? Thank you. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to enter executive session, discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.1, and the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Roll call.
I knew that. I was making sure you was awake over there. Roll call.
Councilmember Richardson,
Aye.
Howell,
Yes?
Ryan,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion approved. We will stay.